Okay, we're going to Jim Tucker because he's got big breaking news. But first, if you're a new listener, I want to tell you who James P. Tucker is. He's an American journalist who, since 1975, has focused on exposing the controversial Bilderberg Group. He is the author of Jim Tucker's Bilderberg Diary and has appeared in several films, namely my film Endgame, and, of course, the Obama deception. Tucker is recognized as a veteran observer and the granddaddy of Bilderberg hunters. For decades, they did not even existed. Since 1975, he has been covering it in great detail. He wrote for syndicated journals all over the United States in news and sports and was read in hundreds of papers. After working for various papers, Tucker started writing for the conservative newspaper The Spotlight in the early 70s. Now he writes for AmericanFreePress.net. And even Wikipedia, who I don't always trust, but I know this is true, and they have links to his original articles to prove it, goes through the fact that Tucker was able to write an advanced story on the downfall of Margaret Thatcher a year before, and later about the rise of Bill Clinton when he attended Bilderberg meeting a year before he even ran in Germany as governor of Arkansas. He was also able to predict that Bush would endorse, that George W. Bush would endorse global warming before he did. Everybody laughed at that. He was able to say that oil prices would go from $60 a gallon to $150 from Bilderberg sources. And he's very intelligent, but his hearing isn't too good. And he was unable to hear us just now. We had him on, and our audio's low, so he just basically disconnected. We're getting him on right now. Okay, he is with us now. The point is, Jim Tucker is amazing, and he's got new breaking information at AmericanFreePress.net. I want Drudge to get this because he normally covers the Bilderberg news. Headline, Bilderberg Insider, Kissinger pushes for U.S. ground invasion of Libya, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, and Jim Tucker joins us. He also discovered, and he's the guy that always does, that it's going to be in Switzerland this year. He normally finds out a week or two before. He found out months before this year. He has actual Bilderberg sources. I'll just leave it at that. This is the group that is the tip-top of the New World Order system. This is the Mafia Roundtable. Jim Tucker, good to have you here with us.
It's always a pleasure.
Well, sir, you've done it again. You don't like to toot your own horn, but there are dozens of these on record in print. Tell us about...
Well, I'm have a modest, unassuming disposition.
But it's important to briefly, because we have so many new stations. Jim, we have so many new stations and listeners. Tell folks in a nutshell what Bilderberg is, how you discovered it, what their agenda... yes, Jim, can you hear me? Okay, Jim, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Break down what Bilderberg Group is and this latest bombshell info you've got dealing with Kissinger pushing for the ground invasion.
Yes, for the newcomers, we'll explain that Bilderberg is a group of approximately 120 international financiers, political leaders, heads of state from Europe, high officials of the U.S. government. The President of the United States, unlike other heads of state, could not attend while in office because the White House reporters account for every minute of his day, even on vacation, when is he bicycling and when not, and all that jazz. But the Secretary of State attends, Secretary of Commerce, Secretary of Treasury, and other leaders, high officials of the administration, all attend and get their marching orders from these 120 international financiers and political leaders who violate the Logan Act by going, the Americans violate the Logan Act by going behind closed doors to secretly plan U.S. policy, and their plans for us are not very good. The bad news is they want to get the United States involved in a land war in Libya so it can inflame the entire Middle East, so they can rationalize invading Iran on Israel's behalf on the theory that Iran has nuclear weapons. When Iran belongs to this international group of proposed nuclear proliferation, Iran allows inspectors, international inspectors, to come in and examine its site. Israel's had nuclear weapons since at least 1962. They do not belong to the group and refuses inspections. So that sums up the war end of it. And there's still some more bad news. They are eager, the trilaterals, their junior partners, and Bilderberg, eager for Americans to have to pay $7 a gallon for gasoline. And, of course, they're still pushing hard for the World Treasury Department on the theory that if they can prolong the American recession, it's still a recession despite the lies by the administration saying it's over, through the year, all through the year 2012. Americans become so hungry and desperate they would embrace a World Department of Treasury. Well, that's their goals. Now, the good news is they're failing on all fronts. American patriots have become more aware through outlets such as American Free Press and you and the independent newspapers, not the Washington Post, New York Times, LA Times. They're represented at these meetings and make their solemn promise to report nothing, to not use the word Bilderberg, to advocate the Bilderberg program, but without identifying Bilderberg as their dictator, which makes them journalistic whores, obviously. So the good news, and you see it, Alex, when you've been to these meetings in Chantilly and in Canada, where the independent daily newspapers, independent broadcast outlets such as yours, will give it heavy attention. We've seen a lot of reporters and a lot of broadcasters from independent operations cover these meetings, cover them very thoroughly. We see that in Canada, we see it in the United States, and we see it for much longer in Europe, where the major newspapers give heavy attention, page one attention, photos, stories raised in the proper questions. Why are they meeting in secret? What are they trying to hide from the world? So they've been slowed down badly. They really expected by the year 2000, back in the 90s, they were confident that by 2000, the United States would surrender its sovereignty, along with the other nations in the Western Hemisphere, to the American Union. It would be using not the dollar, but the Amerigo. Well, they're not even close to that now, and it was at least 15 years ago when they were so confidently predicting that would happen by the year 2000, 11 years ago. Okay, I'm wound down now, so you fire some questions at me.
Okay, Jim, you can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, again, briefly, so people know how serious this is, and your back issues are going back 36, 37 years, are all over the web. I want you to go back briefly, and it isn't you predicting stuff. You have real sources. This group are some of the biggest decision makers, globalists, one-worlders. Decades ago, they said this didn't exist and you were a crazy person. Now they have to cover it. Now the news blockade has been partially broken by Drudge Report and others that pick up our reports via your reporting. Briefly, tell folks about some of the incredible news you've broken months or years before it even happened, so they understand the magnitude of what you said, saying that the globalists have decided to go to $7 a gallon for gas to rape us, and more specifics on that. But first, the proof's in the pudding that you've researched what they do, you have sources inside, and they are calling the shots, evidenced by you months or years before it happens, being able to tell people what's going to unfold.
Yes, I don't make predictions. I do report what Bilderberg is advocating, and history does confirm my reporting. Some of the bigger ones, I think, would go back to Bill Clinton's years in the White House when we reported that Bilderberg wanted the United States to go to war somewhere and get over their Vietnam syndrome. Bilderberg loved Vietnam because these, of course, war profiteering is big bucks to these the guys like Rockefeller, who sons of the industrial age. So we reported that Bilderberg wanted Bill Clinton to go to war. Get over the. I wonder if I'm reaching back now. I don't have it exactly in front of me.
No, the Balkans. You called that. You called a year before he even ran that he would run and got laughed at. You called close to a year before that the Berlin Wall would fall in a staged event. You reported Bush would endorse global warming. You reported when gas was $45 to $60, varying, that it would go to $150. Then you said it would go down because they decided to stop the squeezing because folks weren't buying as much as they thought. You reported, I mean, you've reported everything because of your sources inside. You also said that Obama was at the secret meeting in Chantilly, and that within a few days that he would, Hillary would announce Secretary of State. We were both at that meeting covering it. The rest of the media didn't know where Hillary and Obama had gone. We did. Then that was confirmed. I mean, just everything, Jim. These guys are running the world. You have the sources inside, and we're now getting some similar sources, but not as high level. We've got some of their minions. This is huge.
Yes, there's a little fun piece of White House about that meeting. The meeting that Hillary attended in Georgia, I think it was. We knew she was there. We'd seen her there. The staff, girls carrying drinks around the swimming pool, were excited about seeing Hillary Clinton. So I get back to Washington and called the White House for official confirmation. And the White House, the office press secretary for the First Lady, they have two different things. The First Lady said, no, she wasn't. I said, okay, I know she was there. What I'll do is, unless you want to change your view, is to report that the First Lady did attend the Bilderberg meeting, but her staff was unaware that she was president of the meeting. And then I get some screeches. I say, you have 25 minutes to call me back and confirm it, or I'll report that she was there, and you said that you did not know. They called back and said, yes, she was there. It was a lot of fun teasing these kids.
And you got her hit for the Logan Act for that, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, the taxpayers paid the $300,000 fine that a U.S. district judge imposed on the White House for violating the Logan Act. So they were fined $300,000, which the taxpayers paid. I hate to see the reason taxes are raised, but I did want her publicly nailed, and that was fun. And then her roommate, Bill Clinton, the most bloody-handed draft dodger to ever disgrace the White House with his presence or his attack on Kosovo, for the fun of it. Bilderberg orders. Lord, it was a short war. We had no casualties. Americans love wars when we don't have anybody hurt. But think about the literally thousands of people, old men, women, children, who died on the ground because our planes flew so high to stay out of range of the artillery on the ground from Kosovo that they could not bomb accurately. They just had to drop the bombs blindly. So that's why a school bus full of school children are all killed when a bridge gets hit. A Hardee's hamburger joint was hit. And all kinds of innocent targets were hit, and innocent people died because Bilderberg ordered Clinton to do that to get us out of what they call Vietnam syndrome, where Americans did not want to go to war anymore because of the bad experience in Vietnam, which was very highly profitable to
all right, guys. Jim, I'm sorry to interrupt. You could tell these incredible stories for hours that are all on record. You dropped a bigger bombshell, and by the way, Drudge is just, thank you, Matt. Matt, obviously listening, has just red-linked Bilderberg Insider. Kissinger calls for U.S. invasion of Libya. Get Watson on the phone with all these new developments. We need to beef this article now with the new information. Jim Tucker, the world is listening. Again, you've called it repeatedly. You're saying Bilderberg is giving the orders to run oil up to what, sir, and what's the time frame?
By the end of the year 2012, they want to be paying $7 gallons for gasoline. They point out that the British are now paying the equivalent of $8 American gallon. And what they want to do is to bring the American standard of living down, lifting the standard of living of the so-called third world or poor countries. They call them developing nations, but that's a euphemism for poor countries.